The black ocean of space stretched without end. In that cold silence, a fleet of broken alien ships drifted like lost ghosts. They were once proud, once strong, rulers of their own world, but now they were forsaken by the stars. No planet welcomed them. No system opened its gates. Everywhere they went, they were pushed away. They carried the shame of exile and the weight of hopelessness. Inside the largest ship, voices trembled, children cried, mothers held them close, fathers stared into the emptiness with hollow eyes. Food was almost gone, water recycled until it tasted bitter. Engines coughed with dying sparks, their power fading. Every passing day brought more despair. The people asked their leaders, "Where will we go? Who will save us?" But the leaders had no answer, only silence. They had sent countless signals across the galaxy, begging for shelter, pleading for mercy. But the galaxy turned away. Worlds that once traded with them refused to respond. Civilizations that once smiled at them now feared or hated them. To others, they were outcasts, cursed wanderers, rejected and forgotten. The alien commander, old and weary, stood before the council. His eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. He spoke slowly, his voice heavy with sorrow. "We are dying," he said. "If no world takes us in, our children will not see another dawn." The council argued. Some wanted to keep searching the stars. Others said it was better to end their suffering than drift forever. Hope was slipping away, like sand through open hands. Then one young voice spoke, a scientist, thin and pale, holding a cracked device. "I found something," she said, her voice shaking. On the edge of the galaxy, far from the great powers, there was a small blue planet. It had oceans, forests, mountains, air they could breathe. It had life, intelligent life. Her words brought silence to the room. She whispered, "Its name, Earth." The council hesitated. They had heard whispers of Earth, a world of humans, a species still young, still fragile compared to the mighty civilizations. But could this little planet be their last hope? Some council members laughed bitterly. Why would a small world accept us when even the stars abandoned us? Others said, because they are not like the others, they may still have kindness. Debate turned to shouting, fear battled with hope, but in the end, desperation decided they had no choice but to try. Engines roared weakly as the fleet changed course, metal groaned, lights flickered, but they moved toward the unknown blue planet. Every eye turned to the stars outside. Mothers prayed, fathers clenched fists, children whispered dreams of green fields and open skies. But fear burned as well. What if the humans rejected them too? What if Earth fired upon their ships? What if they were betrayed again? The commander stood alone at the window. His reflection stared back at him, tired and broken. He remembered the homeworld they lost, the friends who abandoned them, the endless doors that shut in their faces. His heart was heavy, but he whispered to himself, if the galaxy will not give us a place, maybe this Earth will. It was not hope, not yet. It was a fragile wish, fragile like glass. One word echoed in every mind as the fleet moved closer. Please. The first signals were sent, weak and cracked. A voice carried through the void. We are survivors. We are lost. We are seeking only a home. They waited, holding their breath. At first there was silence, endless silence. The same silence they had heard from 1,000 worlds before. But then, faintly, a reply came. It was not hostile, not cruel. It was a human voice, curious, cautious, but alive. You are not alone, it said. We hear you. Gasps filled the alien ship. Some wept, others fell to their knees. It was only a few words, but it was enough to keep them alive for one more day, enough to let them dream that maybe Earth was different. That maybe, after all the rejection, salvation waited on that blue world. The commander closed his eyes. For the first time in many years, his lips formed a small smile, not of victory, but of fragile hope. Set course for Earth, he ordered, and the broken fleet carried the last dreams of a dying race toward the unknown. The alien fleet drifted closer to the blue planet. Every ship trembled under its own weight, engines coughing, hulls cracked. Inside, fear spread like fire. They had heard a human voice, a reply, but they did not know if it was kindness or a trap. Too many times before, a promise of safety had turned to betrayal. The memory of those lies still burned in their hearts. On Earth, the signal caused panic. Screens lit up in control rooms. Governments held emergency meetings. Some leaders shouted, "This is an invasion, we must prepare weapons." Others argued, "What if they are refugees? What if they need our help?" The world was divided, fear against compassion. Ordinary people turned on their televisions and phones. Across every city, whispers grew, "Are we alone no longer?" The alien commander stood with his council. His voice carried weight but also doubt. "We cannot know their hearts," he said, "but we have no other choice." His people listened, trembling. One elder warned, "Humans are young, they may be violent." Another replied, "The young sometimes carry the most hope." The debate ended when the commander raised his hand. "Our fate is sealed, we will meet them." A single scout ship was chosen. Its metal bones were weak, its engines barely alive, but it was small, fast enough to reach Earth's skies. A crew of 3 prepared, their families weeping. They knew this could be a one-way journey. Either they would return with welcome, or not return at all. The scout descended into the atmosphere. Flames licked its surface as it tore through the sky hum. Ants below watched in awe and fear. Some thought it was a meteor, others whispered, "Aliens." Military forces locked on their radars, weapons ready. One wrong move and the small craft would be destroyed. Inside the ship, the aliens gripped their seats. The youngest whispered prayers, the oldest clenched his teeth. The leader of the small crew stared at the glowing planet beneath. "It is beautiful," he said softly. "Please let it be merciful too." The ship landed in a remote field. Grass bent beneath its weight, smoke rising from its broken hull. The hatch opened slowly, creaking like an old door. Humans were already there, soldiers in armored trucks, weapons pointed. The aliens stepped out, their forms tall and fragile, eyes glowing with sorrow. They raised their empty hands, showing no weapons, but the silence was sharp, every human finger tight on the trigger. The first human to step forward was not a soldier. It was a scientist, shaking, holding no gun, her eyes wide with fear but also with wonder. She whispered, "My God, they are real." The aliens looked at her, their faces unreadable but desperate. One spoke, his voice broken but clear. "We are not here to conquer. We are here to survive." The soldiers did not lower their weapons. Fear hung in the air like poison. The commander of the soldiers barked, "Stay back!" But something unexpected happened. A child, no older than 7, had slipped past the crowd. She walked forward holding a small flower in her hand. Her mother screamed. Soldiers reached out, but it was too late. The child stood before the tall alien. The alien knelt down, confused. The girl stretched out her hand, offering the flower. The alien's glowing eyes widened. Trembling hands reached slowly. When he took the flower, the soldiers froze. The alien whispered, "Thank you," his voice shaking. And in that single moment, the fear cracked. The hum. Hands did not fire. The aliens did not run. The child had done what no leader, no council, no army could do. She had built the first bridge between 2 worlds. Cameras captured the moment, broadcasting across Earth. People watching in their homes gasped. Some cried, some whispered, "Maybe they are not enemies." But even as hope flickered, shadows stirred. Not all humans welcomed the strangers. In secret rooms, powerful men whispered of fear. They planned to strike, to remove the aliens before trust could grow. And far above the planet, in the alien fleet, families waited for news. Every second felt like eternity. Would Earth be their final salvation, or their final grave? The scout crew looked to the sky. They knew their people were watching. The alien leader held the flower close to his chest. He whispered to himself, "Perhaps we are not forsaken after all." But deep in his heart, he also feared that hope was the most dangerous gamble of all. The flower in the alien's hand became a symbol. On Earth, people argued in every home, every street, every hall of power. Some said the aliens were refugees and deserved mercy. Others warned they were only waiting for the right moment to strike. Fear and kindness clashed, and the whole planet held its breath. News channels replayed the image of the child and the alien again and again. Some voices called it a miracle, proof that peace was possible, but darker voices whispered, "What if it is a trick? What if they use our compassion to destroy us?" The world had never been so divided. Some hearts opened, others closed tighter than steel. Inside the alien fleet, the people wept when they saw the child's gift. For the first time in years, they felt a spark of belonging. But the elders warned, do not trust too quickly. They remembered the betrayals of other civilizations, the lies of powerful empires. They feared Earth might do the same. Hope was a fragile light, and doubt was a heavy shadow. The human governments moved fast. Some leaders sent food, medicine, and scientists to study. The aliens, others secretly gathered weapons, preparing for war. One council of generals whispered late into the night, "They cannot be trusted. We must strike before they grow stronger." They feared that if Earth gave them a home, the aliens would take more than what was offered. The alien commander felt the weight of every decision. He stood in the observation room, staring at the blue planet. His people begged him to trust, but also begged him to protect. He whispered to himself, "If they betray us, it will be the end." But when he touched the flower given by the human child, his hands shook with conflict. He wanted to believe, yet fear kept whispering in his ear. Tension rose on the surface. The aliens who landed were moved to a guarded camp surrounded by fences, soldiers, and bright lights. They were given water and food, but also watched like dangerous animals. The humans looked at them with curiosity, with fear, with suspicion. Children whispered questions, but parents pulled them away. The aliens sat together, tired and broken, wondering if this kindness was real or just another cage. Then something unexpected happened. The young alien scientist, the same one who found Earth in the data, looked at the sky and smiled. At night, she saw the stars above Earth. They were brighter here, closer somehow. She whispered, "Maybe this world is not like the others." Her hope inspired the younger generation among the aliens, but the elders shook their heads, warning her not to dream too much. One night, tension snapped. A group of masked humans attacked the alien camp. They carried fire and weapons, shouting that Earth must protect itself. The aliens huddled together, unarmed and afraid. Soldiers rushed to stop the attackers, but chaos filled the camp. Children screamed. Smoke filled the air. The aliens thought this was the betrayal they had feared. The alien command arrived too late. He saw flames rising. He saw his people crying. His chest ached with rage and sorrow. He shouted, "Was this your mercy? Was this your promise?" But then, in the middle of the smoke, he saw something that froze him. A human soldier shielded an alien child with his own body. A farmer from the nearby village came running with buckets of water, trying to put out the fire. A doctor knelt beside a wounded alien, ignoring the stones thrown at her. Not all humans had betrayed them. Some were fighting for them, protecting them, bleeding for them. The alien commander felt his anger soften. He saw clearly now. Humanity was divided, just like the galaxy. But unlike the other civilizations, humans had something different. They had both fear and kindness, cruelty and compassion. And maybe, just maybe, compassion could win. The attackers were pushed back, their fire extinguished, but the damage was done. The aliens were shaken, the humans were ashamed. The fragile bridge of trust was cracked but not broken. The flower still held in the alien's hand had not burned. He raised it high before both sides and said, "This was given to us not by a soldier, not by a leader, but by a child. If you can learn from your children, then maybe we can learn to live together." Silence filled the camp. Humans lowered their weapons, aliens lowered their heads. The night ended not in destruction, but in a question. Could two broken peoples divided by fear still find a way to trust? The answer would decide the fate of both worlds. The night of fire left scars on both sides. The alien camp still smelled of smoke and the soil was black with ashes. Some humans whispered that the attack was a shameful act. Others whispered it was only the beginning. The aliens sat in silence, holding their children close, their eyes filled with fear and doubt. They had seen kindness, but also cruelty, and they could not tell which was stronger on this world. The alien commander walked among his people. He carried the small flower given by the human child, and now pressed gently in a crystal case. Every alien who saw it felt a spark of hope, but also a question. Was this fragile kindness enough to save them from hatred? The commander whispered, "We must believe, or we will lose ourselves." On Earth, the image of humans protecting aliens spread fast. People saw soldiers shielding alien children, doctors treating their wounds, farmers helping in the fire. For the first time, the world did not only see strangers, they saw suffering families. Some began to say, they are not invaders, they are refugees. But others warned, refugees today, conquerors tomorrow. The debate split the planet deeper than ever before. Inside government halls, Arguments grew dangerous. One faction wanted to grant the aliens land, food, and protection. Another planned in secret to remove them before they grew roots. In hidden chambers, powerful men and women whispered, "Fear is stronger than compassion, and fear will guide us." They began to plot a strike so devastating that no alien would survive. Meanwhile, ordinary humans acted differently. Farmers brought food to the camps. Despite the warnings of soldiers, doctors visited, teaching the aliens how to use human medicine. Children sneaked past the fences to wave at alien children. Slowly, carefully, small bridges of trust began to form. The aliens, once afraid to even speak, began to share songs, drawings, and stories with the humans. It was fragile, but it was real. The young alien scientist who first discovered Earth walked one evening outside the camp. She looked up at the sky and saw the stars above. Her voice was soft as she said, "These stars look different here, brighter, as if they want us to begin again." A human soldier heard her words, and for a moment, his suspicion melted. He whispered back, "Maybe Earth can be your beginning." But shadows never slept. The secret faction moved quietly, gathering weapons, building lies. They spread fear across the world using voices on screens and radios. "They are dangerous, they will take our homes, they will destroy our children," the lies said. Crowds began to march in anger, shouting for the aliens to leave. Fear grew louder, and the bridges of trust shook under its weight. The alien commander watched this with heavy eyes. He wanted to believe in the kindness he had seen, but every whisper of hate reminded him of the past. His people begged him to be careful, to prepare for betrayal, yet when he saw the human children waving at alien children across the fence, he felt his heart fight back against fear. Perhaps, he thought, this world is not like the others. One night, as the camp slept, a storm of voices rose in the distance. The attackers had returned, this time with more weapons, more fire, more hate. The humans inside the camp rushed to protect the aliens, shouting for them to hide. The aliens cried out in fear, believing this was the end. But something unexpected happened. Ordinary villagers arrived with torches, not to burn but to defend. Farmers, teachers, even children stood in front of the camp gates, blocking the attackers. One farmer shouted, "You will not harm them, they are under our care." The attackers roared in anger, "Traitors, you stand with monsters." But the villagers did not move. The aliens, watching from behind the fences, felt their hearts tremble. This was not betrayal, this was protection, real and selfless. The standoff grew dangerous, weapons pointed, anger rising. The alien commander stepped forward, holding the crystal case with the flower. He raised it high so all could see. "This was given to us by a human child," he cried, his voice echoing. "This is not a weapon, not a lie, but a gift. If a child can show kindness without fear, why can't we?" The crowd fell into silence. Some attackers lowered their weapons, shaken by his words. Others cursed and turned away, leaving eyes in rage. The villagers stood tall. The soldiers held their lines. And for that night, the camp was safe. But the commander knew the danger was not gone. The secret factions still plotted, still whispered, still prepared to strike. As dawn broke, the aliens and humans stood together, side by side. Bridges of trust had grown stronger, but shadows still lingered. The galaxy had forsaken them, but Earth was at a crossroads. Would it open its arms fully, or turn away like the rest? The answer was still hidden in the battles to come. The days after the standoff were tense. The alien camp was quiet, but inside every heart fear still lived. They knew enemies still moved in the shadows. They knew trust was fragile, and danger could strike at any moment. The commander walked among his people. His face looked calm, but his heart was heavy. He whispered to himself, "We have survived this far, but can we survive what comes next?" His hand never let go of the flower in the crystal case. It was his reminder that hope still lived. Though faint, far away, in hidden halls, the secret faction gathered. Their voices were cold, their eyes sharp with hate. They spoke of fear as if it was truth. "They will take our land. They will take our future. They must be removed." They built weapons in silence, spread lies in every corner of the world. They were preparing for one final strike, not against the camp alone, but against the entire alien fleet above. The aliens in orbit were weak, their ships broken. If Earth turned against them, they would not survive. But still they waited. Still they hoped their people on the surface would find safety. In the dark of their ships, children looked at Earth through cracked windows. They whispered, "Is this our home or our end?" On the surface, small bonds kept growing. Human doctors taught aliens how to heal wounds with medicine. Alien scientists showed humans how to purify water with strange crystals. Children laughed across the fences, sharing toys and drawings. For a moment it seemed that light was winning. But shadows always strike when light grows strong. It began at night with no warning. Explosions lit the horizon. Fire roared through the camp. The secret faction had launched their attack. Missiles fell from hidden trucks. Soldiers stormed the gates. The camp shook. Aliens screamed. Humans shouted. Chaos filled the air. The commander rushed forward, his voice breaking. "Protect the children," he cried. Aliens huddled in fear, unarmed, powerless. Human soldiers who had stood guard tried to fight back, but they were outnumbered. The attackers carried not only guns, but fire and rage. They shouted, "Earth for humans, no place for outsiders." The night became a storm of hate. The young alien scientist fell to the ground, smoke burning her lungs. She saw human villagers dragging alien children to safety, covering them with their own bodies. She wept, whispering, "Why do some fight for us while others try to end us?" Her tears mixed with ash, but still she crawled. Still she pulled children away from fire. The attackers reached the center of the camp. They raised their weapons toward the helpless. The commander stood tall in front of them. His voice was thunder, though his heart shook with fear. "You will not break us again," he roared. But the attackers laughed, their weapons glowing. Then from the darkness came an answer. Ordinary humans, farmers, workers, soldiers who refused to obey cruel orders. They charged into the camp, fighting side by side with aliens. A farmer swung his shovel against a gunman. A doctor threw herself over a wounded alien child. A young soldier shouted, "If you want to kill them, you must kill me first." The battle raged through the night. Fire swallowed tents. Screams filled the air. The aliens fought with bare hands, with courage, not weapons. Humans bled beside them, protecting strangers they had once feared. Trust was no longer just words. It was written in sacrifice. The commander's voice echoed. "We are not enemies, we are survivors, and together we will endure." His words carried over the flames, over the cries of war. Even as attackers pushed harder, even as hope burned low, his people stood. Not alone this time, but side by side with humans. When dawn came, the camp was broken, but not destroyed. The attackers fled, their hatred heavy, their failure bitter. The ground was black with ashes, the sky gray with smoke. But among the ruins, humans and aliens stood together, alive. Their wounds were deep, but their unity was deeper. The young scientist looked at the horizon, her body weak, but her spirit burning. She whispered, "This world has darkness, but also light. Maybe, just maybe, it is worth the risk." The commander placed the flower in the center of the ruined camp. It had survived the fire again, untouched by flame. He raised it high and said, "This is not the end. This is the beginning." But in secret chambers far away, the faction that had failed was not finished. They sharpened their rage. They gathered greater power. They swore that the next strike would not miss. The darkest hour was not over. It was only growing darker, and both humans and aliens would have to choose. Fear or unity, destruction or hope. The ruins of the camp still smoked when dawn broke. Ash clung to every tent, every hand, every memory. The aliens sat among the ruins, their eyes hollow, their hearts heavy. But they were not alone. Humans knelt beside them, tending to wounds, sharing bread, holding hands. Something had changed in the fire, something deeper than fear. The commander stood among both peoples. His voice was raw but strong. "They tried to destroy us," he said, "but they failed. Because we were not divided, because we stood together." Every word carried weight like iron forged in flame. The Lee listened, their hearts trembling with both sorrow and pride, but the danger was not gone. The secret faction had failed to burn the camp, yet they were not finished. In underground bases, they prepared weapons far deadlier, missiles that could tear ships apart, machines that could poison air. They whispered, "This time, we will end them all." The aliens knew they could not survive alone. Their ships above Earth were too broken, their weapons too weak. If the factions struck again, they would be erased. The commander called a council, inviting both aliens and humans who had fought together. They sat in a circle, their faces lit by firelight. Fear filled the room, but so did determination. A young human soldier spoke first. "My people are divided," he said, "but I will not watch them kill innocents." A farmer added, "They are not monsters. They are families, just like us." The young alien scientist stood, her voice shaking but strong. "If we fight alone, we will fall, but if we fight together, we can rise." Her words echoed, burning in every heart. The commander placed the flower on the table. "This," he said, "is our bond, fragile but alive. If we protect it together, nothing can break us." The room was silent. Then one by one, hands reached out, human and alien. A circle of trust was formed, and with it the first true alliance. When the faction attacked again, they came with thunder, columns of armored trucks, soldiers in black masks, drones buzzing like swarms. The night sky lit with fire as missiles streaked toward the alien fleet. It was the final strike, meant to erase them forever. But this time the aliens were not alone. Humans rushed to defend the camp, not with fear, but with courage. Soldiers loyal to compassion stood shoulder to shoulder with aliens. Villagers carried water, doctors carried medicine. Children were hidden deep in shelters, while their parents stood ready to fight. The battle exploded in the fields, flames roared, steel clashed, screams filled the night. Aliens used what little strength they had. Their technology weak, but their will unbreakable. Humans fought with rifles, shovels, even bare hands. The ground shook under the weight of war. The commander roared above the chaos. "Stand as one," he cried, "for today we decide our future." The aliens answered his call, their voices loud. Humans echoed them, shouting with fire in their hearts. For the first time they fought not as two peoples, but as one. The faction pressed harder, their weapons fierce, but unity proved stronger than fear. An alien shielded a human soldier from fire, taking the wound himself. A human dragged an alien child out of danger, refusing to let go. Each sacrifice built trust. Each act of courage built strength. Slowly, painfully, the tide began to turn. The young scientist worked at the center. With human engineers, she connected broken alien tech to human machines. Together they created a pulse strong enough to disable the faction's drones. The sky grew quieter as the swarm fell like rain. Cheers erupted, though the battle was far from over. The commander faced the leader of the faction, a man with cold eyes shouting, "This is our world, there is no place for them." The commander raised the flower high, even in the middle of war. "This is not just your world," he said. "This is our home now too." And behind him, humans and aliens raised their voices as one. "We stand together," they shouted, shaking the earth. The faction broke under the weight of unity. Some fled, some surrendered. Some fought until silence claimed them. But by dawn, the fields were still, the smoke rising into the pale sky. The camp lay in ruins, but the people stood tall, bruised, burned, bleeding, but unbroken. The young scientist fell to her knees, exhausted. She whispered, "We are alive because we were not alone." The human soldier helped her stand, smiling through blood. He said, "This is only the beginning." Nang, the commander looked at the flower once more. It had survived again, untouched by flame, untouched by hate. He held it high and declared, "Today, we were forsaken no more." And though scars covered the land, hope now burned brighter than ever before. The aliens were no longer just refugees. They were part of Earth, and Earth was part of them. The galaxy had abandoned them. But humanity had chosen a different path, a path of unity, a path of shared destiny. The battlefield was silent when the smoke cleared. Ash floated in the wind like gray snow. Bodies lay scattered, both human and alien, sacrifices carved into the soil of Earth. But above the ruins, voices rose not in mourning alone, but in defiance. They had survived, they had endured, and together they had won. The commander stood tall, though blood ran down his arm. His people gathered around him, their faces weary, their eyes shining with a new light. Beside them stood humans, battered and bruised, but unbroken. They looked at one another, not as strangers, not as enemies, but as family. The flower, still unburned, rested in his hand, glowing in the morning sun. He raised it high and whispered, "This is our dawn." The secret faction was broken, their leaders scattered, their power shattered, but whispers of fear still lingered. Some humans still doubted, still whispered that aliens could not be trusted. The commander knew the battle for survival was not only fought with weapons, it was also fought with hearts, with trust, with time. And so, rebuilding began. The camp that had once been a cage became a village. Humans and aliens worked side by side, raising walls, planting crops, sharing tools. Children played together in the fields, laughing, their voices erasing the echoes of war. The young alien scientists taught humans how to grow food in harsh soil using crystal technology. Human engineers showed aliens how to build strong homes with simple stone and steel. Slowly, carefully, a new community was born. Above Earth, the broken alien fleet waited. Ships cracked, engines failing. Families living in shadows, but hope reached them too. Humans sent supplies into orbit, food and water carried by rockets. Alien engineers, guided by human hands, began repairing their ships. Together, they built something stronger than either could have alone. Yet the galaxy watched, silent and distant. Other worlds whispered of the refugees who found shelter on Earth. Some scoffed, saying humanity was foolish. Others feared, saying a new alliance had been born. But for the first time, the aliens did not care what the galaxy thought. They had found salvation where no one else had given it. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, the commander stood with the human soldier who had once shielded alien children in battle. They looked over the new village, fires glowing, laughter echoing. The commander said softly, "We were forsaken by the stars." The soldier answered, "But not by Earth." The words carried a truth deeper than any weapon. Together they smiled, their scars lit by the firelight. The young scientist walked through the village. Children tugged at her hands, both human and alien. She laughed for the first time in years. Her eyes turned to the night sky where stars once mocked her people. Now they seemed brighter, warmer, no longer symbols of rejection. She whispered, "We are no longer wandering. We are home." But danger was not gone forever. The galaxy was vast, and not all would stay silent. The commander knew this. He felt it in his bones. Yet he also knew something greater, that Earth and his people were no longer weak, no longer divided. If the galaxy came against them, they would stand as one. At the heart of the village, a monument was built, not of gold, not of steel, but of stone and crystal. At its center rested the flower, preserved for all to see, a reminder that hope had begun not with armies, but with a child's hand. Visitors came, humans and aliens alike, laying gifts, whispering prayers. It became a symbol not of war, but of unity. The commander addressed both peoples beneath the monument. His voice carried across the fields, across the skies. "Once we were abandoned by the galaxy," he said, "rejected, forgotten, left to die. But here on Earth, we found something greater than shelter. We found compassion. We found family. We found a future." His words struck deep into every heart. No one doubted them, for they had lived them. As the night sky filled with stars, humans and aliens stood together. Torches lit the darkness, laughter mixed with song. There was still fear in the world, still wounds that needed healing, but hope burned brighter, stronger than ever before. And hope was a fire that could not be extinguished. The young scientist closed her eyes and whispered, "We were forsaken by the stars, but Earth gave us salvation." Her words carried in the wind, echoing through the village. And though the galaxy had turned its back, Earth had opened its arms. A new dawn had risen, not for one race but for two, and together they would face whatever the stars still held.